Hello everyone, welcome to our next video on SQL and databases. In last video, we were trying to use certain string related uh, functions, and what we found is several of those were not available. So just to make it, we'll spend a couple of time uh, explaining it what we are doing here and what you should be doing based on bandwidth available to prepare for your board exam versus managing your long-term learning as well as your ability to leverage some of these learnings in your project related work. So why we are showing many of our SQL related code in Python interface like Jupyter is several of your project explicitly ask to connect SQL database from Python codebase. So from Python codebase, when you will be writing some SQL manipulation that will work exactly in the line of what we are describing here. So some of the less commonly used steps like creating the table and inserting initial values could be done in your MySQL interface. But from there on, when you want to kind of interact with your existing table and try and find out variety of uh, user oriented actions and how to respond to those, you will be executing your SQL from uh, Python. At that point in time, if you are connecting to a proper SQL server, your syntax could work as it is, but more often than not you'll be actually working around SQLite, and that is where we are having some syntax related issue. There are not too many, just some of the functions are not available, and in some of the cases we have to use some indirect way of executing our queries. So in our last video we found that month, day, etc. is not working. So what we'll do is we'll take another 10 to 15 minutes and we'll see that how you can do it using uh, other utilities available on Python side of the world, or the one that helps you execute in this DB Lite environment. So the changes in syntax will always come, when you are not working natively in MySQL environment. But again, I'll take a minute and sort of give you a right direction. If you are rushing through, don't have much time, do execute your code natively into any online MySQL interpreter, or it will just take some time. You can actually install a MySQL instance and play around that, so that the syntax that you are getting comfortable and the one that will be tested in your theory exams, as well as if your instructors are very rigid and looking for syntax even in your code rather than functionality. So in those cases, even you might be actually certain penalty marks in your Viva and other exams, right? So you have to make that call. But this will be something that will be very, very useful for your project related things, particularly when you are not going to do proper SQL Server setup and those things. So with that in mind, let us actually go back and look at, right, what were some of the issues and what we are trying to do. So we were looking at what we have done so far. We have looked at simple select statement. So in last video, if you see, we covered how you can create table, right, with appropriate syntax, how you can insert data into that, and then we started having basic uh, you know select statement and variations around that, right? So we wanted actually some of the use cases like say for example, right, uh, the following query, right? If you are actually seeing my screen, right? So the following query where it ends with a and date of birth is before June, right? So what you can do if you want to kind of, so we'll actually show you uh, you know in a new query so that actually you can follow me while writing this code. So the only difference that we have in this particular case is rather than having month, right, you can use so in this particular case, for example, say you are interested in a student name, right, and then say you are interested in date of birth part of it, right? So your date of birth part is this one, right? Yes, date of birth. Okay, and we wanted to apply, right? Select this and this from a student, right? Where, right? And then we had some where clause, right, to filter it out, right? And let us say that what those where clauses were, where your s name, right? And as we are moving here, you can start naming it. For example, s name is there. Well, since there are several names out there, but since you have actually accessed this, you can just say m, right? We can also convert it into multi-line one so that we can write our uh, you know statements freely, right? So select s name as name, right? Yes, date of birth, say as month of birth, right? Okay, from where? From our student table, right? And what we had were s name, like, so we are looking for the set of things where our name ends with a. What we'll do for this, for ends with a, you can actually use percent a, right? Let's just keep this clause and focus on so let us see what output we get here, right? Execute query and then query. Hopefully you might be following me. So far so good. uh, you know um, okay, so typically this select a statement in a MySQL interface, you can just take this part, right, and execute it and get the output. The only thing we are actually kind of forming in a string and then executing using this one. Okay, let's see what we get here. We have got all these names, right? Now let us do first thing. So since actually month is not working, right, this is what that we wanted. If you try this month in your MySQL instance, you like it will work, but here it is not working because this function is not available. So there is a utility that is called parsing the time, strf time, and the syntax that you will be requiring here is you provide a percent, and for month you write m, right? And then you can just pass it, right? Now let us see what our answers are. Now you just get 050203, right? And where a student name as a name, right? So let us say that we are writing it name, where name like this, and what is the other condition? Month of birth, right? So we wanted to kind of take all these guys uh, less than. So since this is a string, you might be surprised how this is working. So what is happening is, since this string and this is properly padded, so you have number from 0 until 1 2, and given the alphanumeric index of it, a simple string comparison is working. This is very very beautiful. Sometimes you should play with it, right? So what you saw here, you got 3, and in that actually two are having their date of birth lesser than June, and this guy John D'Souza is in from the month of August, right? Okay, so why it is not here, right? And we don't need this, right? Great, so we got it, right? In a similar way, you can do say greater than. So in that case, you'll be getting only D'Souza, right? So we got it. Okay. So in this particular case, we looked at scenarios. Now, I want to show you some more command, right? When you are actually going through your, um, you know, select statement. So let us start with our query, right? So say we want to print, right? Um, all the, you know, uh, names, right? Select yes name, H name, right? From a student. So let us print all the name, right? And we'll actually kind of expand out it. So execute query. Okay. Let us pass it on. So we have got all the name out here, right? Now let us say that um, hmm, we have all the name out here. Hmm. So we saw that stream is working, right? So rather than this, let us say that rather than this, we are interested in printing uh, date of month. Okay, right? So select uh, right. So you got all these 5287, right? From a student, and we don't see it for. So let us look at what is there for year. So 2003 2, and we don't have date available for one of the student, right? Okay, okay, month of year. So you might have seen, right? There are several entries around 2003 and 2, right? So if you want to change, right, then you can use statements like distinct. So what it will do, it will look at all of these, and then will apply the distinct. Okay, we don't need to, right? We don't need to. That's fine. Yeah, you have to. So you can see now, right? There are only 2 and 3. We are not investigating why one of this is coming none, but you can actually see it, right? So what distinct does it here? Distincts help you get, say all the uniqueness. Okay, good. Let us look at another one which is order by, right? So this one is order by, right? Say our query is select roll number, right? And then we are having another entry. What is that? Yes name, right? From a student, right? What we'll get here when we execute query? When you execute query, okay, we are having all the name, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then we are having all the name out there, right? Now let us say you want to kind of order it, right? Order by, right? Which column? Say roll number. So if you do only by roll number, then there is no difference. It is already in increasing order. But say if you want to kind of put it in decreasing order, right? So you can put something like this. You have everything from 6 5 4 2 1, right? In a similar way, you can apply order by on your S name as well. So if you do it by default, what will happen? You will be having all the name like Ali, Athav, starting with A, then D, then J, then M, right? So you might be saying that what is the difference? This is the difference, right? Just look at order by, right? So what was happening? You had all the into like Athar Bahuja, then Bhutia, then D'Souza Sahab, then Sa and Manika, right? And here what you can do, once you look at order by S name, then it is in increasing order. So you can see all the alphabets, right, going from my system is hanging. Okay, no, something. Okay. Hold on. I have opened a lot of tabs. Okay. And then if you want, you can actually sort of put it in. So do play. This is very, very important that you kind of, now if you see M J D A, right? So it's doing in that order. And whenever you are having 2A, so it is AT followed by AL, right? You have to keep that in mind. So we looked at order by, we looked at distinct, we looked at utilities around strf time, that we are actually finding some issue using month and others earlier. Again, as many time I am mentioning strf time, this will be one of the practical utility for you to move ahead. From exam perspective, you can always use month, day, year, the syntax that we saw some time back, and that is there in your book. Okay. What else? So we have looked at where clause, right? So what you are having there, simply you'll have, so from after select, you just have an where clause, right? There is another interesting thing, right? So we also talked about two kind of functions available, right? The one that were only available at row level, and the one which are available at group of them. So what the one that is available with row, which is like math operations, right? Power, modulo, right? Those kind of things, and then date related, right? And then we have string related. So all of that, if you see, they can be used on select side of the order, as well as on where, order by, whatever you have at the other part. Going forward, we'll see that there are certain restrictions with while using aggregate, right, on these things. Okay. So just give me a minute to pick my ideas. What else we are left? We have got order by. That's fine. Uh, hmm. Okay. So there are two things, right? When you are actually looking for. So here, what we are printing. Say we have we have this one, right? So okay. So we are taking month, month, right? And say that in this particular case, right? Um, right? Uh, Not only greater than 6, but he wanted to pick guys which are between and so actually say some kind of range, right? So we have in for that, and here you can actually enter say several months, right? So you can say 0 to, right? Okay, 06 and let's say 05, right? So as long as your month will fall in any of these, that will be actually kind of taken there. What is this 0 to okay, this issue, right? So you got 0502, right? I think you can also apply between operator here. And this is very, very important, guys, right? So now what will happen? It will print everything between 02 to 05, right? Uh, okay, not an worry. Uh, Somehow we need another modification, right? So we can apply it for, say, roll number, right? So let's keep it only in, and we'll apply between later on. Between, or maybe I'm missing the syntax, right? Between 02 and 05. Let us see if this works. See, I mean, always I have, this, yeah, so this one is working, right? So you can actually provide between A and B, right? So this is the syntax that you have to use. So far, we have looked at a lot of variations around where we actually use between, in, then less than, greater than, and then you can keep combining, right? Yeah. So we have covered very well order by as well, ascending, descending. Anything else? We have actually used, like, several of them last time. You look at STRF time as well. Renaming of column we have seen. uh, we have seen this as well. Descending. Okay, so now we are left with some of the aggregate functions. Okay, but before we go there, if you remember our you know um, so I just want to kind of review uh, some of the things that we saw in our um, slides earlier, right? So give me a minute. I think this one. Okay. So okay, let us see this. Uh, so here we talked about, right? If you see union, intersect, and minus, right? And then we were having some detail about join operation, primarily inner join, left join, and right join. These are actually, very, very important. One concept that we missed out here is called Cartesian, right? So if you simply say select, from two, so for example, students, and then actually, if you want to use attendance or you want to use guardian, right? So in that case, what happens is when you are actually going to combine two tables, all the entry from one, uh, and for every entry that is there in the first one, right? All the entry from the second one will be taken, right? So how to make it clear to you? So do we have any table here? No. Can you just recollect, because switching will take time. So we were looking at our Guardian, right? What schema we are using for Guardian? What schema are you using for a student? We are having roll numbers, right? For a student, we were using roll number, and then we were actually having uh, several other attributes, right? So I'm just scrolling back to it, right? So we had roll number, a student name, that is S name, date of birth, and identifier, right? GUID. Now, what will happen is, if you actually combine as a Cartesian product, right? Say a student and guardian, then for every entry of a student, right, you will see, all of the guardian repeated. So if guardian is having, say, 4 entries and your student is having 5 entries, then Cartesian product will be having a cardinality of 4 into 5, and your attributes will sum up, right? So let me kind of anyway cover that. It's actually these things will be very, very clear, uh, when you have similar structure, then how union, intersect, and minus works. And that's anyway very easy. Even if some of your exam question will actually review that. But Cartesian product is little important. I just wanted to spend, you know, a minute of time with you. Okay, just let us get back to this one, right? So let us use our SQL command. Okay. Let us just execute, individual, tables, right? And see what we are getting. So say your query is, right, select all from a student. Okay, and then uh, your query is select all from, right, select all from Guardian. Okay, now okay, query, let us call it a student, and then this, right? No, we don't need this. And then say we execute query, right, on a student, query a student, right, followed by our execute query of guardians, right? So what you got here, you have, just to kind of ensure that we see it properly, let us say that we have some kind of print. Okay, so we have 1 2 4 5 6, right? There is no 3. So kind of we are having 5 entries in our student table, and we are having 5 entry in our guardian table. Okay, now from here on, if you want to execute a query such as this, right, select all from a student and then guardian, right? What will happen here? So let us say our query of Cartesian product is this, right? Okay, and let us execute query. So we are having query Cartesian. Now what you will see here, right? So in this particular case, right, uh, the eventual table that you will get, right, it will get stacked um, vertically first. So for every increase, so the way it is doing is, if you look at this part, right, so it is taking all of say 5 of this till here, and then it is taking, starting your this Samit Ahuja, this one, right, it is taking remaining of your guardian, right? So that way, if you see your cardinality, right, you will be having 20 entries, and then your columns, if you see, right, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So your columns will get added up, and your cardinality will get multiplied. So number of rows in one versus number of rows in two. So it's actually kind of an exhaustive combination across the table, right? Okay, and this helps us come to our, actually, the very important topics around join. We have already actually, covered part of it. And what we will do is, in the subsequent video, around we will actually create our several tables, and on top of that we will answer some of our aggregate related questions, and we'll actually follow that up by having some of our join related things, right? So the join is something where you don't need everything across the table, right? You can actually have it on select and based on certain condition, right? So let us just stop here. What we did in this particular one is actually we looked at some of the alternatives for set of string or date related functions that were not available. Then we reviewed our row level and aggregate level functions. Then we actually again had some examples around order by and others. Yes, we are also left with one more important clause, that is group by and having. So we'll actually talk about group by and having, join, and we'll actually create some new tables and try and play around that. Uh, Thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Do like, subscribe, and comment if you like this content. Uh, we'll actually let us meet in next video.